Welcome to the Tearing It Up podcast. I'm your host, Taryn. We'll be tearing it up, tearing it down, and tearing it apart, dissecting all things related to those who deviate from the standard. From leaders of their industry to leaders of mediocrity, and maybe a gear review or two thrown in. We shoot the shit and let the conversations flow, so if that's not your style, this may not be for you. Otherwise, listen in. Hope to light a fire in you somehow. All right. Hello, everybody. What day is it? Wednesday, hump day, middle of the week.
God, it's been a long week.
Yeah. I've been confused about what day it is because I switched with somebody. I was supposed to work today and then didn't, so I keep thinking it's Tuesday instead of Wednesday. But regardless, it's I don't know, it's been kind of an average day, I guess.
Yeah.
Nothing spectacular. I got out on my cross-country skis, which is great because I haven't done that in a while, and I've been feeling, the guilt about not doing that while it's still wintry. And then so today I was like, man, I really need to do this more often before I have no more chances to do it. But but again, I mean, I've been enjoying going to the gym and getting good workouts in under some weight. So it's just at least I'm doing something. And it's what I am doing is something I enjoy doing and I like doing. I'm not just oh, I have to do this instead. But hopefully I can get my butt out skiing a little bit more before the snow's gone. Not that I think it's gonna, disappear overnight or anything.
No way, man.
I think it's actually supposed to snow a little bit Friday, but I don't know, it might be a dusting. But I looked at the forecast. This was during the weekend or something. So the 10-day forecast, it was saying next Tuesday, so still a week from now, is supposed to be a high of 68 degrees. And I was like, whoa, no way. That's way too hot for me to just jump from being in the 30s to 68. Oh, it's gonna feel freaking hot.
Tropical.
I feel because to me 70 degrees is warm. So 68, I'm that's almost 70. That's fucking shorts weather. It's hot. It's what the hell? But it has since gone back down and it's in the 50s, so it's still up there from what we've had, but I'm okay with it starting to slowly climb up to warmer weather. But I don't want to jump all the way to cool. Now we'll just be 70 degrees every day and this shit's just gonna melt all fast and just be over. I'm okay with it tapering off for sure though. As I'm
Especially with the amount of snowpack you guys got this year, it has been insanity.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be a mess around here too because we live in dirt. So even since we keep the driveway plowed, we can see patches of dirt. We've seen it throughout the winter when we go with a little dry spell, the sun just hits us so much. But right now there's just a few just giant puddles and I'm like, man, the thing that sucks about this is we're going to be dealing with mud for a long time because it's just the ground's going to be so wet for so long as this all melts. And I'm like, oh, just living in a small space with dogs, it's going to be just a fucking disaster, mud all the time. And just with ourselves walking, just outside to and fro the car to what the fuck ever, it's just gonna be mud. And I'm like, we're gonna have to start closing our little bedroom door and not letting no one can go in there until shoes are off, paws are clean, because fuck, dogs are gonna have to get kicked off the bed. Because last year, I mean, we moved up in the summer, so it was pretty dry, and in the fall we dealt with a little bit of it for sure as things started to get wet and weather started to come, but not as much as what this freaking spring will be. It's gonna be a dirty spring. With a white dog, we're not gonna be hiding anything. So
I just Google searched mud management and it's what popped up is this waffle-like cellular confinement system that is made to eliminate mud. So basically you're just putting down rubber pavers.
Oh,
as a way to mud management, but I was kind of looking and hoping for more natural mud management.
Well, because we've talked about how we're gonna have to redo the road, and Andrew's talked about laying. I asked him what do you think? Just I mean, taking a blade to it, or like, what are we gonna do? And he said something about maybe putting some gravel down. So there's that where we could put some of that down to um mitigate some of the mud, but we're just not in a place where I think we want to do anything like that because none of this is permanent really where we're at. So I don't know. I mean, come closer to the summer, maybe June or something, we'll do a little something like that to again mitigate some of the dust. Because then in the summertime, it's just fucking dust everywhere. Keeping the windows open is just like, oh my
Yeah.
God. But it's all,
Yeah.
just part of it. Even with a house, it's gonna be something that will be a challenge because, it's not like we're fucking putting grass down. So like
Yeah.
not for a long, long time. If we do, maybe it's gonna be like a patch of grass or something. So figuring out how we're gonna mitigate some dust and mud with our landscaping is gonna be an interesting thing. But we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes. Especially because with the snowfall that we can get, you're like, what kind of landscaping you need to do where it's not gonna be like ruined or affected by the winter.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. For now, stick with the AstroTurf. Just
There
keep
you
getting
go.
little patches of turf because that's what we had was a few patches of turf on the walkway. So at least there was time to get rid of some of the mud right
Yeah.
before the door, and you're not stepping right into it right out the door. Like we had it under like the barbecue or in front of the barbecue, so we could get to a few places without having to be muddy or in boots or whatever. But yeah, so season is changing for the most part. Like I said, there's still some snow, but that happens. Little dustings can happen, even in June. Like our friend's wedding last year in the fucking middle of June, it snowed. So it happens, but everyone around here
Yeah.
is just fucking losing their shit. So over it. And yeah, so ready for it to taper off, but I'm not fully ready for it to be like summer.
Yes, yes. It's always a hard transition, the transition from winter to spring. Also because it's like your snow life merging with like your spring summer life and you're like, what do I do? How do I put my energy? What do I put it towards? So
Yeah,
I
and
feel like
so
a lot of people.
usually I hate the shoulder seasons because of that. You're like, you get to a point where there's not enough snow to have big days in the mountains. Like you might still be able to get out and enjoy a little bit of it. But then, there's not like the trails aren't quite ready to go mountain bike riding on or something. Um, but this year, I am leaning into it a bit more, the transition season. But I think that's mostly because business wise, it's giving me a lot more time to try and figure out how I might want to implement doing some paddle boarding again this summer. So I'm definitely not
Oh,
ready for it to just be like, oh, bam, here's summer. Because it's going to be, the water's going to be cold for a long time
yeah.
with the snow melt. It's always cold in Tahoe, really, but I don't think anyone's going to be jumping to get on the water, until like late June, really. And people will paddle, but paddleboard yoga is so different, and you have such higher chance of falling in the water. So people are a
Mhm.
little more apprehensive to do it until it's like warm. But yeah, I being that it's April, it doesn't quite feel like April here. Like I got to start kind of thinking about that and figuring out how I can do it while maintaining my responsibilities at my full-time job. Because last year I just didn't really do anything towards paddleboarding or my fitness business. I took that step back to just try to eliminate burnout a little. And so I don't want to get back into burnout. And so yeah, we'll see. I need to write some things out. But speaking of burnout, last week I went to the Wandering Wild Women's Summit. And that was an all-day event. And I went to a workshop that talked about burnout. So that was just really great to listen to and also to feel not alone in it. And I wouldn't say that I feel alone in burnout. I think a lot of people feel that way, but I guess sometimes I wonder and question, like, am I feeling burnout? And um I feel like I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Again, it comes to this guilt, or I shouldn't be feeling this way because, this is what I do. Like my life's not that fucking hard. Why would I be feeling legitimate burnout or whatnot? But the research behind burnout is very interesting in the fact that it is actually a diagnosis now. It's not just it's
Huh.
become a buzzword for sure, I feel, anyways. You see it everywhere. But it is a legitimate diagnosis for, I'm not sure who would give it to you. I'm not sure that it's under like a
Yeah.
mental
Like
health
clinical.
kind of thing. Yeah, I don't really know the right words to say for that, but um, yeah, so it's legit, I guess. And that's how I always thought as you're seeing it everywhere on the internet and I'm feeling these feelings, I'm like, well, is it, really a legitimate way to feel, especially somebody who I feel it, but I don't again feel like I have a reason to at times or like nothing to show for it, I guess.
Yeah.
People who have these successful careers and they're like a Wall Street fucking money man or whatever and are experiencing this and they're working like actually 80 hours a week or whatnot and feeling it and juggling a family. Like, yeah, that's understandable. But looking at me and my life, I feel like I people think, how the fuck are you burnt out? But
I feel like we all juggle like multiple lives. You know what I mean? Like
mhm,
we're
mhm.
not just like you're not just tearing it up podcast. You're not just your business. You're not just working for your company. You are doing all this stuff in addition to trying to establish your property. Like we're all doing a lot, especially at this age in our lives. If
Mhm.
people have chosen to be in their 30s and like going and getting shit and establishing our foundations for our careers and all this other kind of stuff. Like our 30s is just like a grind, man.
And that's a good
Nonstop grind,
point.
especially with kids.
Yeah. That's a good point you make though of it's it's not just one thing and obviously I know all the things that I do and that other people don't see all the time or whatnot, but burnout is like it doesn't have to be just from your job. It is just so many things on your shoulders through life that you're just tired. You're just fucking tired and you can no longer focus on any one thing. And something has to give. But it was only an hour workshop at the Wild Women's Summit. It was amazing, but I was just like, oh my God, I just want like more from this lady. Her name is Julia Arndt, and she has a coaching business. Actually, she does business coaching and I would have to pull up her website because I don't again want to like say something that's not true of like personal development, but she teaches about burnout and things like that. And actually, I hope to have her on the podcast with us to maybe talk about a little more in depth of burnout and whatnot. So there were four workshops total that day. And so, as I mentioned in our previous podcast, but just to kind of revisit that, there was two sessions in the morning, two sessions in the afternoon, and you had to pick which one you went to. So in the morning, I went to Unlocking Your Inner Creative. The other option was Rewiring for Wealth. And I knew that whichever one I chose, I'd have FOMO of the other one.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I did Unlocking Your Inner Creative, and I tried really hard to resist the urge to like jump out of the room and try and like take a listen to what was happening in the Rewiring for Wealth class.
Mhm.
And because like I said, the Unlocking Your Inner Creative, I felt like was more in line with what I am doing for work and what I could do for my personal businesses. But rewiring for wealth, that is aligned with my fucking life.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, dang, I wish I could have gone. I really wish I could have gone to both. That's just all that it comes down to is I wish I could have gone for to both. I don't think they did a full recording of the sessions to be able to go back and watch, but I the woman who was sitting next to me at our main table stayed for the wealth one, and so she gave me some notes, which was very
Nice.
nice. But overall, it was a really great event, great day. So it was a long day, 8-hour day. We had a couple keynote speakers, these workshops. They had an amazing lunch. It was like a Mediterranean themed lunch, and it was so freaking good.
Oh,
But by the time lunch came around, we were all so starving. And the
yeah.
afternoon keynote was after lunch. And it wasn't quite as engaging as the first keynote. So you could tell people were getting a little bit restless at that point in the afternoon. But I ended with the burnout one. So I just was kind of like really um inspired. So
Yeah.
and felt like seen and heard, and I was like, this was great. And I got to talk to a couple gals after, and so it's just really good. But I went to go buy a candle from this company I posted about called um the Ebb and the Flow. She makes these just wonderful smelling candles, and I think some other skincare product. Well, I know she has lip balm and just some great homemade things like that. And then I realized I didn't have, like, my wallet wasn't in my pocket.
Shit.
And I was like, huh, my jacket's literally been on the back of this chair since 8:30 a.m. with my wallet in the pocket. I have not moved my jacket, and I did just have it over my arm at the end because it was warm, and maybe it fell out because I was kind of rustling it around, tossing it around. And then, like, well, shoot, in this group of just 200 women, and if someone found it, they'd look at the ID and say, "Hey, Taryn,"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had a lot of trust there. So I'm like, well, I must have left it in my truck when I got gas and never actually put it in my pocket, back in my pocket, because I do that often. Toss it in the center console, go out to leave and do a search around my truck, and it's not there. So I was like, maybe I better go back inside and check with the front desk, see if anyone found it, because maybe it fell out, before the event in the lobby or in the elevator. Nothing. So I'm like, darn it, there's just nothing I can do anymore. I go home. This is on a Thursday. Saturday morning, I get on Instagram and there's a message in the request side, and I'm like, oh, what's that? And it's a guy who says, hey, I think you dropped your wallet and I found it. And he had tried to call me via Instagram, and I messaged him like, oh my God, I did. Here's my number. Can you please call or text me? And I told him I did have to be back in Truckee by 5 that night. If he could meet up before then, it'd be really appreciated. He said, yeah, I'll call you. Nothing. So I'm like, well, I told him I'd be back by 5, and I had it like an engagement, so he didn't want to call or text or like interrupt. Like, I don't know. Sunday morning, I message him on Instagram and say, um, hey, I'm available all day. I'd really appreciate if you could let me know when and where you could meet. I'd really like my wallet back. And
Yeah.
and he said, I'm so sorry. I had to leave Reno due to my job, the military, but I gave it to a friend, and he must not have called you. I will get a hold of him right now. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, he didn't call. I was like, yeah, I'd really appreciate that. Nothing for hours. Send another message, because now I'm just like, it's really weird
Suspicious.
that you went out of your way to find me on the internet and message me, and now just radio silence, and apparently you like gave it to your friend, like you could pass me his number. um and he hasn't said anything since. So that was like Sunday, I think, that I said that, or it might have been Monday morning. No, it was Sunday. And so Monday, I'm like, well, I'm gonna cancel. I had put a hold on my cards on over the weekend, but Monday, I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go get a new license because I need this shit.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to obviously way too many crime podcasts that I'm like just really uncomfortable with the fact that he has information, and I've had no suspicious activity on cards. And if you've actually have it in your possession, you've got to, I guess, imagine that someone would probably cancel their cards or put them on a hold if they've lost their wallet. So I don't know, so many things, so many just weird things. Maybe he thinks, okay, she found her wallet, or she knows that someone found it, but I'm not getting it back to her, so she can just cancel everything. She doesn't have to worry about me, stealing her money. um or he is has gonna steal my identity or come stalk me, or gave it to the friend and the friend doesn't give a shit. I mean, I
Yeah.
just don't fucking
Where
know.
did
But
he find it?
Well, since he said he left Reno, I imagine that it did fall out of my pocket from the parking garage to the hotel that the
Yeah.
event was at. Because the only place I was the gas station in the morning, is the only place I used my wallet. So I first called them, and like, they hadn't seen it, 'cause I'm like, maybe it fell out at the pump. I'm just It's just so fucking weird to me
Yeah.
that, again, went through this trouble, tried to like audio call me, like, damn, what would have happened if I would have just got that fucking message? Which why the Instagram like request thing where you don't actually get notified, to me, is so fucking weird. And I
Yeah,
mean, I
it
don't
is
have my
weird.
notifications on, like, because we're not friends or followers or whatever. I don't even know that if I had all my notifications on, if when he tried to call, that would have come through. But yeah, it's like, and if you're a guy in the military, like, just so many fucking things.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just say in the first place, hey, I found your wallet, I tried to contact you, I am leaving Reno,
I'll
I will
mail it.
mail it to you? Because that's what I said too, is like, you obviously have my address, you can drop it in the mail, I'll Venmo whoever, like, some money for the cost. I just don't understand. So part of me, I'm like, well, maybe it will show up in my mailbox. By the time it does, I'll have ordered all new cards, and I already went to the DMV, but at least I feel a little bit more comfortable that it's not just like out there. Or like, what are they going to do with it? You're not just going to throw someone's wallet away so that someone else then finds my information in the trash. You're not going to cut up the cards correctly. It's just all the weirdest fucking thing to me. And the way that it's been gone about is what makes me feel like uncomfortable, that he fucking reached
Yeah.
out and now isn't saying anything.
And
Um,
reached out via Instagram. Like there's so many other routes, I feel
yeah.
like.
I
Like
mean, I
maybe
think a lot of people do that these days because it's just easy. Like, you can see a picture, you see the name, you're matching, you're like, I know it's this person. Um, and because to find someone's actual phone number or anything like that, uh, I appreciated that at first, because I'm thinking, great. And now I have the chance to meet this guy, tomorrow or the next day, to pick it up, instead of him just sending it in the mail without me knowing. And then it
yeah.
shows up in the mail, and I'm like, on Monday, I'm like, oh, I didn't even have to go do any of this. But now, I don't know, just the weirdest fucking thing to me.
Yeah, that
That,
is some suspicious activity.
yeah. And just annoying. I was like literally kind of in a weird state on Friday. I was pretty tired, even though this event was very uplifting. I don't know if it was just almost too stimulating, where like Friday I was just like, man, I just want to relax and take it all in. Plus Friday's my earlier days. Um, but I've just been feeling really brain foggy. I think I even talked about it in our last episode. So I was just like, how the fuck does this happen to me? Why do I just lose shit all the time, just without fucking noticing? And it just drives me bonkers that this even happened. Obviously, it can happen to anybody. It was like, a silly thing, but honestly, I put shit down all the time, because Andrew's mom's like, did you put it on like the back of your truck while you were pumping gas? I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I thought about that, and I was like, why the fuck would I have done that? Why would I have done that? It was 7:30 in the morning, cold as fuck. Why would I have not put it back in my pocket because I was sitting there cold? Why was I just like, oh, well, it looks like it's a nice place to be on my truck? But I'm like, but I very well could have. It could have flown off on the interstate and got destroyed, and I'd rather that have happened. But I would have never known if that
Yeah.
happened. But yeah, I just started getting real kind of down on myself, feeling just really stupid, and just other things were happening. Like, I tried to do my taxes, and it kept telling me
Yeah.
that they were rejected, and I was getting this code that was saying, like, your social security number has already been used for this. But I also, when I did some Googling, there was a few other reasons for this same code. um, so I was just like, what the fuck? What in the actual fuck? And then I finally realized days later, when I don't fuck with my taxes over the weekend, and then I go back and look, and my social security card or number I put in wrong by one number.
Oh,
And I was like, oh my God. Like, what? Like, here I was just stressing out because I did them, I was getting a refund, and I'm like, wow, this is great, because I think it'll be good timing. I really need this
yes.
to kind of get by. And I want to pay my bike off with it, and be done with that, and then I'll have still a little bit extra so I can finally now maybe start getting back ahead since my bike's going to be paid off, and I'll be have a few extra bucks in the bank before my paycheck or on top of my paycheck. And then here I am thinking my identity's either been stolen or I owe taxes, and now I'm going to get a bill for, thousands of dollars instead of get anything at all back. And just little things. I'm like, how did I miss that? How did, like, I know my social security number.
By heart.
Why the fuck did I put that number in that first number? And how did I not even ever go back and look to see if I put it in wrong in the first place? So that's the thing with the burnout, that I was like, yeah, man, I can't think clearly most days.
Yeah.
But yeah, so great event. Bummed I lost my wallet and some weirdo is not giving it back.
Yeah, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
That's really weird, and I don't like it. Let's find this guy and
Right, makes me feel icky. And then
pissed at him.
his Instagram has 3 posts, but he has like over 1,000 followers. So I'm like, well, maybe, he's one of those people that something happened in his life and he just deleted everything and started over.
Yeah.
They're really far apart, his posts. So 3 posts, like over 1,000 followers, but it's just one name, Ortiz, with some numbers and no like bio or anything. So I'm like,
Yeah.
how the fuck am I supposed to find his name? Because even, you can sign up for Instagram and make a fake first name and last name.
Yep.
So I have no idea if people could track him. A couple people have told me like, you should just call the cops in Reno anyway and let them know that your wallet's been stolen. It just so it's kind of on record or whatever. Because at this point, I feel like it is stolen because someone found it and they're not giving it back.
Yes, they're holding it hostage.
Yeah. So
I think it's safe to do.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know if I'll do it because I just feel like, oh well, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah. Oh, here's your crime report.
Yeah.
Your report number. Great. What is this? What is this stack of numbers going to do me?
Yep.
Maybe
yeah.
remind me how friggin' pissed I am at myself for doing the thing.
Yeah.
Yes. We've all been there.
Yep. Yeah.
At least it wasn't a $1,500 bike or a $15,000 bike or
yeah. Yep.
That's also happened.
Yes. Yeah. You have we both, I feel like, have gotten a lot of things stolen.
Yeah.
My items, like my bike and snowboard and a camera and a cell phone, like those things were all
snowboards that year. God.
Yeah. Oh, I got my snowboard stolen twice because then I got that snowboard stolen again from like when I bought it. It got stolen from my house.
Yeah.
My parents' house, like out the fucking bathroom window when I had a party. But so, all those things at the time were a lot of money to me, but in the grand scheme, not very much. But I'm just like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
I thought that this was the time. I'm like, wow, finally some of this karma's come back to me and someone is returning something that I lost instead of just stealing it fucking from me. No.
But it's such weird loophole ass military shit.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know if you are in the military, man. And because if you are, I would just feel like you have enough resources to figure out how the fuck to get this back to me. You're not a fucking idiot. I mean, maybe you are. But anyways, I digress. The summit was awesome. And we'll see what happens next year if they have it again. I'm sure they will, but I mean, like, what it will entail. Overall, I got a lot from it, but long or all day events like that can be a little bit hard for me. I get a little stir crazy. And then I want to make sure, that by the end of the day, I'm still taking in the stuff and not just shutting off. So yeah, I'm excited for next year to see what they have, and I would like to attend for sure, but like I said, it just depends on where I'm at in life and all of that. But
next year, that's crazy to think about.
I know. I'm really not thinking about like next year, but I'm excited to see the things they do because I mean 200 people. I'm like, wow, that's good job that you guys put this thing together, and I think it's going to remain successful for a while because a lot of a lot of ladies there were you could just tell that they were getting a lot from it. Everyone did. So it
Yeah.
was really, really cool to see that happen and to know where they came from. And that they almost stopped even doing the wild women events at all. And then bam, here's this whole thing.
Yeah, and it looked
So
all like really well thought out, like every little detail. It looked very cute and
beautiful.
yeah.
The venue was at Whitney Peak Hotel in Reno, which fun fact I learned is the only hotel in Reno that's not a casino.
Whoa.
Yeah, there's got to be something more to that. I'm like, there's totally hotels that are just like for
Is
the
it
airport and stuff. So there's got to be something else to that fact that I'm missing.
is it really close to the border of like California, Nevada?
no, well, I mean Reno is in general. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, now I feel like I need to look that up because like I said, I'm like, there's definitely like Motel Sixes that aren't
Yeah.
casinos. So maybe it's of its size that's not a casino. I don't
Like
know.
star
Like it has
ranking.
the banquet halls and stuff like that. So having all of those things and not being a casino, not too sure.
Yeah.
So don't hold me to it. But it was great. It was great that it
Yeah.
wasn't a casino too, because that means when you're going in through the lobby or anything, you're not worrying about like, oh, great, smokers everywhere or whatever. Beautiful venue, and I was just like, holy cow, the decorations that they had. Even well, I guess they I don't even know if they had too many decorations. They had a cool sign that said "Be Wild." But other than that, I think it was like the venue itself that was decorated so beautifully.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a lot of work to fucking put together for sure.
Oh,
I'm sure the ladies who put it together after like come the weekend, they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and power off for a couple of days." Um, but yeah,
I
it was
know.
good to have some time to let it all soak in, and now here I am, just another Wednesday.
Yeah, right. Every day is different though. I saw you checked your water
Yeah,
container.
I had to get water today. We've needed to for a while. We've just been using limited amount of water, and we took our dishes down to Andrew's parents' house yesterday or the other day to do them because we didn't feel like getting water. But yeah, so I was like, okay, today is actually empty. I need to go out on the hall and get some. It lasts usually like a week, maybe a little, give or take some days depending on if we're taking dishes down or
Yeah.
not eating here. But
Yeah.
so then I just did some of the dishes that we do have here, but um the water can stay a little bit warm if the tank heater is on, or just being in the tank here where like the fifth wheel's getting hit by sun. So because I didn't turn the hot water heater on, so I had a little bit of warm water, and then I just boiled a pot of water to have some hot water to actually like scrub with and stuff. But then it started getting cold, and I was like, okay, well, that's a sign that I'm done doing dishes, because I mean, obviously the water that I just put in from the tank to the fifth wheel was fucking like frozen. I mean, there's a solid probably close to 6 inches of ice on top. So we've just good for we were doing real well. In the summer, we'd bring dishes down because we didn't have our big water tank. So we'd bring dishes down and do them down there often. But now since we were able to just get water from up here and not have to get water from town, we've been doing them up here until we got lazy the last month. Like, oh my god, we're so tired of like trudging through the snow and breaking like layers of ice and having to think about when we're gonna do it, because at night it's just gonna freeze the hoses. It happened once, they froze so fast. And so a couple days ago, or the last couple days really, we're still like fucking cold. I mean, 30 some degrees. I think 34 was maybe the high. So in the shade, it's fucking cold and with the wind. So it just hasn't been a great couple days to even get water. And so on in one hand, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of excited for summer where it's not as much of a fight to get water, to like empty tanks, because we don't have to shovel every time we have to do one of those chores or worry about what time of day it is, what's going to freeze, what's not going to freeze, or the hose is going to break, whatever it is.
Yeah, just everything, man. And
Yeah.
it just goes to show like how embedded the infrastructures of which we live upon are ingrained in our society, but also like so great.
Yeah. So nice to have convenience. We had a conversation with Andrew's buddy who lives up here too in like a tiny home. And so he's had to do the things, the tanks and this, that, and the other. He's a little more set up now, but um we talked about how, yeah, it makes you think and how you really don't need much. And I was just kind of reflecting on, I've always felt that I know I don't need much, but if it's there,
Yeah.
I have it, I
Utilize
want
it.
it. And so unfortunately, when things are not like rationed, you use more without thinking about it. Take longer showers. You let the water run while you're fucking doing something else. I don't know, just things like that. You keep the heat on when it doesn't need to be. You're using resources more when you don't have to think about it. It's just the way it fucking is. We're not conscious enough. But how do you keep people conscious of these things when it's not in their forefront that it's a limited resource? Because we know that like all of our resources are limited, but they don't feel that way.
No. Especially when you can just turn on a tap and there's water.
Yeah.
You can flip on a light switch and there's your electricity.
Yeah. So it's been nice to have the reminder because whenever we wash our hands, you turn on the water, get your hands wet, turn it off, put the soap on, scrub, 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 turn the water back on to rinse. We should just be doing that everywhere. We should be doing it in town. There's no reason for the water to run while you're following the CDC guidelines of
Yeah.
rubbing your soapy hands for 20 seconds. Yeah. Um, so I'm trying to do some of those things when I'm in town as well. And tiny little baby steps,
Yeah.
but a little
And it all
thing.
takes practice to get it
Yeah.
conditioned in your head.
Well, especially if you're somewhere where it takes a while for the water to warm up and it's like cold, so like you feel like you have to let the water run to let it get warm. And sometimes it takes a while for that to happen. Like our bathroom in town, it would take a while for the water to get warm. In the kitchen, it was hot like instantly. And that always annoyed the shit out of me. I'm trying to wash my hands and like, okay, I really want some warm water here, but
Yeah.
it feels like it has to run like forever to get there. But um yeah, being more aware of your resources. It's
Mhm.
just an overwhelming thing that sometimes I feel like, oh, I don't even want to try and
Yeah.
fix this because I can't as an individual. But we have to take small steps. I mean, this is just like we've talked about over the summer with our rights and voting and things like that. Is
Mhm.
sometimes these tasks feel very overwhelming, and like your little contribution isn't going to do a thing, but you just have to think that it is. It
Yeah.
is. It
Yeah, it does.
is.
What you do and care about carries on to other people, whether you know it or not.
Hmm.
Like when you were talking about the whole washing your hands thing, like turning your water off to soap up your hands. I taught Quincy how to do that, and he does. That's what he does now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, and like if you live your life the best way that you know how to in all your facets, managing balance, all the things, managing like how to be more careful about our resources, it projects and people pick up on it.
Hmm. Yep, it's true. I mean, getting into those things that you don't think about, especially if you're not hearing the feedback, and that's something that gets hard for me, personally, and for my business. And it's been something that I've thought about for a while, just personally, of, I do need more validation than I think I'd like to admit
Mhm.
to know that I am on like doing the right,
On the right
not doing
path.
the right thing, but I don't know that people appreciate the things that I'm doing. Like, should
Yeah.
I be doing this or not?
Yeah.
Because if I'm not getting the feedback, then of, like good feedback or whatever, then I feel like I don't, why is it worth my time to do it? Whether it's work or efforts in your relationship. Um, if I'm not being let known that I'm doing a good job, I start to just shut down. And
Or
I don't know
slack
where that
off.
comes from. I don't know if maybe it comes from because I played sports as a kid and like through my whole life. And usually in sports, you're getting that feedback and right away, whether it's good or bad. Did you do a good job and win the game, or did you play awful? You're getting that right away, and you know
Totally.
what to do from that, how to be better next time, or just to continue on the, the training path you're on or whatever. And outside of athletics, how do you get that?
Yeah.
And
Or schooling. I feel like you get that through schooling a lot too.
yeah, because things are graded, right? Or your teachers just like whatever kind of special rewards you get for showing up, or whatever it is. But it's an interesting topic to me,
Yeah. And I think a
because
good reason to get like a lot of it is communication, right? Like
yeah.
and
Yeah.
also like knowing your needs, like you knowing that you need that and trying to figure navigate acknowledging that you need that and then
Mm-hmm.
trying to navigate how to get that for yourself.
Yeah. And that's a good point right there. We don't have a main topic today, as we usually don't.
Yeah.
But we do have some stuff that like we will want to try to talk about into one episode instead of everything all the time. But this maybe we'll be able to dive further into this topic of the need for validation or whatnot. And you don't have to feel bad or guilty about needing that. But like you said, just knowing what you need can help everything in your life, because if you're able to communicate it to others, knowing what you need solely is going to obviously help you in life. But at a certain point, what good is it going to do if you're not telling the people around you what you need?
Yeah.
Well, because they don't know what to give it to you. And if you're just a very solo, individual, independent person, you don't have anyone to answer to in work, you don't have a partner in life, or whatever, that's awesome. That's your path. That's great that you don't need to tell people these things. I think for a majority of us, there's someone there in our life that we need to have this communication with.
Mm-hmm.
So just figuring shit out for what you need, again, like your oxygen mask before others.
Mm-hmm.
And as you mentioned, just being at this time in our life right now, and this can happen, in your fucking 20s, in your 40s, 50s, whatever. But I feel like from mid 20s to mid 30s for a lot of us, we're in it, we're figuring things out, especially these days as a lot more people are getting married, and starting families later in life. That brings us into being in the mid 30s, of being in these different places in life than we were decades ago. But a lot of my friends, I feel like, are in a place where they're trying to figure out what their next step is, whether that's in their relationship, their career, their living situations, just financial situations. I mean, I think we're constantly in that. Like, there's one thing's good, maybe one thing's not. Maybe they're all good, but for how long? There's peaks and valleys of everything. But for any of these changes to be made, you have to know what it is you need first. So if you want a career change, what are you looking for in a career? What would fulfill you? What do you want to do? Same thing with a relationship. What do you need from someone else that you're not getting now? Or a living situation, same thing. Like, what is it? And those aren't always easy to answer.
No.
But so I just have multiple friends right now going through some shit, and it's just literally floating through molasses as they're trying
Yeah.
to figure out, like, I don't know what is it I want. I really don't know. And I do that all the time. I mean, I don't know. I have a vision for my life to an extent. It's not, every single detail is not like laid out, but it's pretty vague. Of, I want to live where we're at right now and this
Yeah.
enjoy this space we have, but have a house. I want to have a career that I feel passionate about, but can also pay the fucking bills. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like very, very specific. And people say, when it comes to manifestation and things like that, that you need to get very specific. Like you need to write down, like, you're going to make $100,000, August 2023 or whatnot. And I understand the importance of like really specifying some goals, but
Mhm.
also, like, how do you
That,
specify?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
I
we
feel
don't
like
even.
a good way to break down your desires is to kind of categorize it between like wants and needs.
Mm-hmm.
Like separate it from things that you want to things that you absolutely that are like deal breakers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With yourself and being like, okay, I'm going to put this on this list. I'm going to put this on this list. And then next being, how does that look like within my life? Like how
Yeah.
does that look like to get from A to B?
That's a very
It just
good
takes a lot of like
exercise.
cognitive thinking, and I feel like it's hard within our daily lives because there's just so many distractions. And
Yeah.
FOMO is so hard, like so freaking real within our society today. And so it's like, oh, I want to do this, but so and so is doing this, and I
Mm-hmm.
wish I could do this. Like,
And I
it's
feel like when you start to do something like that, maybe if you were writing down your wants and needs, all this other, again, that guilt word can creep in, and you could be looking at it and say, do I really need that, or is it a want?
yes.
Especially if you are in a partnership or have children or anything, and you're looking at this need and you're like, no, for me this is a need, and you're like,
Yeah.
but this need might affect these other people, so is it a need or is it a want?
Yeah.
And being
Or
able to keep that clear line, I think, can be very hard for us. Like I have a friend right now who is going through some stuff of knowing that she needs a change, and is gonna, that might entail taking a big step back from her relationship and her partner not understanding that. um but she did have the conversation with him, as she explained to like her friends why she feels this, like where it comes from, where these things feelings stem from. And I was like, well, did you tell him that stuff? And she was like, no. And I'm like, well, I think you need to.
yes,
And I
100%.
don't know if that's going to change things,
It would it
but at least there might be a little more understanding there. The outcome may not be different from what has been said it's going to be, but like I said, at least then maybe they'll understand where you're coming from, whether he ever agrees with it or sees eye to eye. Like I think it's important that you go that deep. Like if you just sat here, no problem telling us, you gotta tell him.
yes.
Um, and she did, and it did make the wheels turn, um, and things didn't go the way that they looked like they were gonna go at first. They're going in a good way. They're going in a good way, but
Just
those are
by
hard to
opening up
have.
that communication.
Yeah,
And also, like, I feel like within society and this fucking patriarchy is like there's a lot of responsibilities put on women's shoulders
mm-hmm.
just like unannounced. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's so many expectations that we put upon ourselves and that society puts on us that we just like don't even think otherwise of being like, oh, maybe my partner could do that. Or, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like it's just very bizarre how we feel like we have to take it on all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't feel like we can communicate with our partners about it.
Yeah. And I also feel sometimes though of why do I mean, I know why. But why do we feel so hurt when it's not reciprocated? Because we can understand that, because I had this conversation with a friend today, about us getting mad. Like I get mad sometimes when I go out on a full day adventure or something, and Andrew then sees that time as, now since I'm gone doing something, he will stay out and do something, and I come home and things aren't done, and I'm like, man, this sucks, because I was really hoping, because I was gone all day long, you'd take the initiative to like have a dinner ready instead of you're just gonna now be unbothered with your friends.
Yeah.
um and my friend, said she deals with the same thing, and we determined like it's because like we, if we knew our partners had very long days, we'd be like wanting to clean the house and have dinner for them ready. And our partners can be empathetic when we have those long days, but they're not like going above and beyond and like overthinking and planning. I bet there's some men out there who fucking do it, but I think a lot of us deal with the fact that they don't. And our minds just work differently, because where I was going with that was, women are more caregivers. So we want you to come home and, oh no, you've had a rough day. How can I help? And dudes' minds aren't really wired that way. And I want to not have that expectation.
Yeah.
I
But
I
I
don't
would love
want to
to have
get
that expectation be
yes.
fulfilled.
Yeah. I want I want that shit to happen once in a while, but I am so tired of getting mad at some of these things that I can't change. And it also doesn't fucking mean that he doesn't love me.
True.
Like, people
I
show their
think
love different ways. And just because
totally.
he didn't do that, if I said specifically, like, it would be really nice if you had dinner ready
Yes.
for me, and then he didn't, but
Yes.
said he would, yeah, then I'd be fucking mad. But I, and I'm not trying to, I don't know, stick up for or make excuses for somebody not doing things. But at the same time, I think that my expectations don't need to, he's not me.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
why do I expect him to behave and act and do the things that I would do?
Especially if you don't communicate those wants and or needs.
Exactly. Keeps coming back to that communication. And I've personally feel that we've gotten better, like my relationship, with saying those things and being upfront of like, I am upset because when you're not doing that, this is how I'm feeling. This is how it's making me feel. It's making me feel like you do not give a shit about me.
Mhm.
And then it's like, no, that's not the fucking case at all. You're out having fun with your friends. I didn't want to bother you and
Yeah.
ask you what you wanted for dinner. I'm like, well, you don't have to ask, just fucking make something. I'll eat it. I'll eat anything,
Yeah.
that. um but this like circular conversation over and over. But I'm just at a point where I want to find more balance in those aspects where, yeah, I'm still gonna get mad and annoyed with if I have to ask for everything. I don't want to have to ask for everything, but I don't want to lose my shit every time it doesn't happen either. So, like, oh, how much of it is you? How much of it is them?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard. You can't, it's like a hard, that's something it's like almost, it's in unmeasurable, you know?
yeah.
I
So,
mean, maybe it is. Maybe there is like some scientific way where you could measure that, but it's really hard to pinpoint it, especially like if we can't even like distinguish our wants from our needs or
yeah.
like what we want or how to communicate that with our partner. Like that's what gets us all in these ruts, you know? It's
Yep. And so the wants versus needs, when it comes to something like, I want dinner ready for me after a long day,
yeah,
versus I need that from somebody. It could definitely be a need, because I think with if you were to look at the love languages and
yeah,
something like acts of service, if acts of service is what you need to for your love energy exchange, then you do need something like dinner being made for you once
yeah,
in a while. That is a need. It's not just a um bratty like, I want this,
yeah, no,
So, but again, it's hard to decipher what do I need versus what I want, because I don't need that every fucking night, but I do need it once in a while. I
yeah.
need to feel like I'm being taken care of as much as I feel that I take care of somebody else. Um
Look at you voicing all that. That's so important, dude.
yeah.
That's huge.
Yes.
It takes practice. It really takes practice to be able to sit with yourself and be like, what do I want versus what do I need? And like maybe there is a gray area in between, but
Yeah. And like is and but being able to have that conversation with the person too, and having them reciprocate what
yeah,
they need and want, instead of them just being like,
yes.
whatever.
Okay, man, whatever you want, my queen. Let
Yeah.
me roll out the red carpet. Yeah.
Which I do get that, a lot of like, oh yeah, what do you want? What do you need? Like, but I'm also like, yeah, thank you, but I need to know too, like, what makes you tick in the best and worst ways, so that, because I want to be better for my partner too. I want him to be better for me. I want to be better for him. So I don't want it to be one-sided, and I feel like it is sometimes where I'm doing the digging. Not that he's not one-sided and that he does nothing for me, but that I am expecting and I'm complaining a
Mm-hmm.
lot. And he really doesn't complain a lot. And he doesn't expect much. So I'm trying to, yeah, like I said, again, finding the balance of, yeah, taking a little bit from his book.
Yeah,
How
but
can
also
I?
you can't. I mean, like it's really yes, yes, definitely do that. But also, you are who you are.
Yeah, and I don't want to, without giving up um too much of myself or the things that I know I need. I don't want to do that at all. But I know there's some things that I can change, and mostly that's my reaction to things. Um and that would better come across and like make us better.
Yeah,
And there's this is definitely a topic I want to have a conversation about, another, like a full episode, but I just want to kind of introduce it, as I've been saying, balance a little bit here. The But a work life balance, which we all have feelings on, and I don't think it's ever, I fall in the category of not feeling like there is a like perfectly even balance.
yeah,
And I've had some words I've heard about this topic that fall into that. But work life balance is a different topic. I do think there could be a pretty more even balance when it comes to your relationship give and take. I
yeah.
think that has to be a balance. That's got to be, the fucking scales on
Mhm.
par with each other. Of course they're going to move a little. One's going to
Yeah,
be a little higher here and there, but for the most part it should be fucking balanced on your give and your take between both or all people in the relationship, the partnership, whatever.
yeah,
Um but I definitely want to talk about work life balance and hear your thoughts on it and whatnot. And maybe we can do that next, I don't know, in the next couple episodes or whatever. And I'd be interested too. People don't always listen to these in a timely manner, but if you do, I'd be really interested to hear from other people and what the work life balance for them looks like. Like, does it
yeah,
look even, or does it not? And then as we have this conversation, maybe that will change people's perception on it. I'm just excited to talk about that. I think that's a very interesting thing. But like I said, if anybody out there, I'd love if you sent us your responses on what the perfect work-life balance looks for you. Is it a straight even balance, 50-50? Is it 60-40? What the fuck is it? And it doesn't even have to be in numbers per se like that. But yeah,
mhm.
be interesting to see what people's thoughts are on that for their life.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah. I'll put that out like on the gram too, a little question bubble or something, see if we
Yeah,
can get
yeah.
responses.
We're
Put that
dying to know.
away. Yeah.
Dying. I think that's a hot topic.
Yeah. Especially for those of us who have multiple jobs or looking for career change, and maybe it's to seek that better balance or
Mhm.
harmony, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But
Job
um
search.
yeah, I've got a few other topics I'd love to talk about soon, and we also are always interested to hear if there's anything you people in the ether would like to have us talk about or dive into. One of them on my list is like stepping out of your comfort zone, which I think you and I are good about that.
Yeah,
But I still, that doesn't mean that there's times that we're not good at it and need to.
yeah,
You get comfortable in life and you're like, wait, because sometimes I'm like, what is my comfort zone really actually? Like, maybe I am in a comfort zone right now. Maybe what would stepping out of that look like right now? I don't
yeah.
know. I really need to look into that and see. I want to know what would make me be uncomfortable right now, and how I could get out of my comfort zone if my comfort zone is holding me back right now. I don't know.
Yeah, that's another great one.
Yeah. So all
Here's
those things, if anyone has anything to say, to them, or other, again, like topics that they would just like to hear other people discuss so that they're hearing different perspectives and not feeling alone in whatever it is that
Yeah,
they're fucking thinking about.
too often, man.
Yeah. Yep. Well, before we get out of here, anything you want to leave us with?
Just try to listen to your wants versus your needs and have those communications with your partner.
Yeah, I think that's a really good place if you're in a spot of confusion on taking a next step in something in your life. Is that's a it's basically a pro and con list in a way, but it's
Yeah.
wants versus needs. And you could do pro and con, and see what that is. Your cons could be this isn't any of my needs.
Yes. 1,000%.
Yeah,
Rule
pro
out
is
any
yeah.
wants.
Yep. Okay, well, we will wrap that rant up and see what our next topic is. I don't know if the next episode exactly will be work-life balance or what, but next episode we will have some sort of straight topic, whether it's with a
Do an
guest or
Instagram
ourselves.
vote on it.
Yes.
Let the
Yep.
people decide what
Let
should we
the
talk about next.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll do a little poll and I'll also put the little question bubble so that we're at least getting responses
Yeah,
from this question and then also seeing what it is the people want to hear.
maybe.
All right. So good afternoon, good night, good morning again, whatever time you're listening. I love it. And we'll talk to y'all later.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and would do us a huge favor, since we don't have any sponsors or anything like that, and would rate and review us on whatever platform it is you use, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, whatever it is. And if you're listening and downloading just through the website, tearingituppodcast.com, leave comments. We'll definitely engage back with you. And on social media right now, we're just on Instagram. Tearing It Up Podcast is the handle. Like the post, share the post, comment on the post, whatever it is you got. Show us your love so we just stay relevant and show up in the rankings at all. So again, rate and review, please. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.